Hi, Michaela here to talk a little bit with you about survival modes. But before I launch into that, I want to try a little experiment with you. I'm just going to run a scenario by you, and I want you to notice what starts to happen in you, what your thoughts do, what your feelings do, what your impulse is. So think of somebody that you really care about. Think of somebody that really matters to you. Their opinion matters to you. The relationship matters to you. Could be a loved one, could be like somebody that you work with or a boss. And now I just want you to imagine them approaching you and saying, hey, we really need to talk. So notice what happens. Notice what happens. So here's what's interesting, is the impulses that you have give us information about the habits that you've learned when you feel under pressure. Or if you feel really secure, we've learned that maybe, you hear we need to talk and maybe you get curious and go, oh, cool, what are we going to talk about? My guess is that for most of us, there's some kind of activation that comes up with we need to talk. Now, for some of us, we might have some fight-flight stuff. We might have some like, get me out of here. I wish I could get out of this talk. I wonder if there's a way to climb my way out. Some of us might feel like, man, if they're mad at me, I have some things to say to them. There is fight mode. Come into the rescue, right? Some of us may suddenly feel sorry or suddenly feel apologetic, right? What did I do wrong? And that's like more of a submit mode. And some of us might just go deer in the headlights, oh, what do I do? Hard to think, hard to breathe. Yeah, and that is a freeze mode. And some of us immediately might want to call a friend. I need to call a lifeline. I need some help here. Cry for help mode right there. So very often we think of our kind of like survival mode as just fight and flight, but actually there are these 5 different ones. And there's so much to say about them that I'm going to do a few different videos because there are just so many things that happen with these modes, and there are ways to work with these modes too that can be really, really helpful. Like sometimes people end up trying to think their way out of a problem, and the reason that maybe it's hard to reason sometimes your way through things is that maybe there's one of these modes getting in the way. And sometimes these modes, they need something a little bit different than just our thinking on the issue. Sometimes they need some physical action, or they need like some soothing, or they need somebody else to really be present with them. So want to get in a little bit to that, and also to talk about different modes that can show up at different times. So there's the fight and flight mode. There's also a cry for help mode. And if you imagine that one side of you really feels like running away as fast as you can from stress when it comes up in a relationship, but another part of you feels like reaching out and deepening that connection, you might be able to start to imagine how tangles happen. Now, here's another way that tangles happen is that you might be feeling some of these modes in the present day where they don't really belong. And we all have these different modes, and a lot of this is just that we are wired in this amazing way where our bodies are always ready to protect us, but they're ready to protect us from things that were way more true years and years back. So like I was actually a little bit worried about shooting this video, and I went through my own kind of flight mode, and I went through my own fear. And the thing about shooting a video is that, yeah, I might be a little bit worried about criticism or getting a word wrong, but I've never had a saber-toothed tiger attack me through my phone. So why are those modes coming up? They're like, run away or freak out. And it's just our bodies just do a brilliant job working to protect us, and sometimes it seems that they're not quite caught up with the realities of modern society, so we still have these defense modes coming in. And if we can learn how to identify them, learn how to work with them, and also learn about like what our defaults are, that can be really, really helpful. So over the next few days, if you feel like it, if this is of interest to you, you might start noting some of your difficult moments and just noting like what's the quality of your thinking, like what's happening in your sensations, what are your impulses, because what I want to do is help you to get a more refined language about what's going on, like help you to get more precision, because I think it's one thing to know I'm freaking out, and another thing to know, oh, I have like 3 different freakout modes that I go to. And even over time, you might develop more information where you're able to even get more refined and go, oh, sometimes I feel like I really should stand up for myself, and yet my habit is to submit. And as you're able to develop that information, like what your default modes are, what the modes are that maybe don't feel like so comfortable or natural for you, it's actually going to help you to gain a sense of more options that you can have down the line.